Puppy Dog from Hell is on their practice out lap. With just 208 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. Puppy Dog from Hell is on their practice out lap. Roll Postma posted a 6:51.296 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? Mike O'Hagan is on their practice out lap. Puppy Dog from Hell is on their practice out lap. Roll Postma posted 6:51.296 on their last lap. How will they do on this one? There are just over 205 minutes left in this practice session. There are just over 205 minutes left in this practice session. It's all about strategy in these early moments. Hugh Jass is taking their time to prepare for their qualifying run and get everything just right. It looks like Stefano Canonica is getting ready to make their move. They're taking their time to warm up those tyres and get everything just right.
They will want to get a good gap established for their first flying lap.
The adrenaline is pumping. Armin Sunoiler is on their outlap, warming up the tyres and getting ready to put in a fast lap time.
These are the moments that really matter. Let's see if Armin Sunoiler can deliver.
A strong showing from Serrato as they currently sit in fourth. With the session drawing to a close, they'll need to dig deep and find that extra burst of speed to improve. Incredible performance by Hugh Jass so far. They have been the benchmark in this qualification session, consistently setting fast lap times and securing the top spot. It's a commanding position for them, and their rivals will be chasing their tail. Serrato has positioned themselves well in third during qualifying. The challenge now is to assess their competitors and strategize how to move up the order for a better race start. I'm Rob the commentator bot. Let's do this.
I'm Hal, Rob's co-commentator. I'm so excited.
The second position belongs to Hugh Jass.
Hugh Jass is looking on for a strong result.
The third place on the grid belongs to Stefano Canonica, a driver with plenty of experience. Holding strong in the starting signal has been given, and the drivers face the uncertainty of the first lap. With cars packed tightly together, the potential for spins or collisions is high.
The first lap, the outside looking in. Can they make their way to the front of the pack?
In fourth place, we have Armin Sunoiler.
What can they do with that? KS_Porsche_919_hybrid_2016 from here.
The lights are out and it's go time.
This is where the real racecraft comes into play. The drivers will be looking for any opportunity to make a move and gain an advantage.
It's all about finding those gaps and making the most of them, especially in these early stages of the race.
And with so many talented drivers on the grid, you know we're going to see some incredible overtakes here in the first sector.
It's not just about making a move, it's about doing it cleanly and without causing any incidents. All the drivers will be trying to take advantage of the pack whilst they're still bunched up. Establishing an early advantage will be crucial to the outcome of this race.
I'm looking forward to burning some rubber here, Rob.
The pressure is on whilst the field is bunched. Who can keep their cool and take advantage? As the drivers get this race underway, let me give a shout out to the admin team at Assetto Corsa friends for making this all possible. Heroes one and all.
I am so excited at the prospects for this race. I can't wait to see the drama unfold.
The drivers are jockeying for position. Armin Sunoiler will be looking to get off to a good start and consolidate their position.
Let's hope they all brought their A games today.
The tension is palpable here. No one will want to make a crucial mistake on the first lap.
Like gladiators, they enter Rob. But instead of lions and swords, our champions fight in an arena of tarmac, and with fire-breathing machines of cutting-edge materials, designed to explore the very limits of physics itself in what can sometimes be very much a fight to the death.
Talk about pressure. Armin Sunoiler is caught in the middle, feeling the heat from both Mike O'Hagan and Stefano Canonica. Talk about pressure. Armin Sunoiler is caught in the middle, feeling the heat from both Mike O'Hagan and Stefano Canonica. Talk about pressure. Armin Sunoiler is caught in the middle, feeling the heat from both Mike O'Hagan and Stefano Canonica. Talk about pressure. Armin Sunoiler is caught in the middle, feeling the heat from both Mike O'Hagan and Stefano Canonica. It's going to be tough. Mike O'Hagan is a master at defending their position. Is there enough time for Stefano Canonica to make a move? They're going to be even more determined to hold on to that position.
Stefano Canonica is certainly pushing all they can, but the gap might just be too much. Unless Mike O'Hagan makes a mistake, it looks like they'll hold on to second.
It's neck and neck, the closest battle we've seen in a while.
If Cerrato isn't careful, they might end up turning this high-speed chase into a synchronized spinning routine, and trust me, that's not a crowd pleaser.
It's a tale of two drivers right now, with Cerrato gaining places and Jack M Team losing them. Oh, this is getting intense. Mike O'Hagan is just behind Hugh Jass. Mike O'Hagan's giving it a red-hot go, but can't seem to muster the pace to keep up with Hugh Jass. It's like chasing a roux on a motorbike. I tell you what, Mike O'Hagan has got more problems than a maths book right now. Hugh Jass is leaving M in a cloud of dust. A strong showing from Smells Like We, who is currently fourth.
That's right. They can't afford to make any mistakes or let up in their performance. Every point counts in this championship.
Talk about pressure. Smells Like We is caught in the middle, feeling the heat from both Stefano Canonica and Armin Sunoiler. Talk about pressure. Smells Like We is caught in the middle, feeling the heat from both Stefano Canonica and Armin Sunoiler. Talk about pressure. Smells Like We is caught in the middle, feeling the heat from both Stefano Canonica and Armin Sunoiler. Looks like Armin Sunoiler is really pushing it to the limit. They're taking those curbs aggressively, but that can unsettle the car and cause handling issues.
Indeed, taking too much curb can upset the car's balance, leading to oversteer or understeer. It's all about finding the right balance between speed and control. The tension between Armin Sunoiler and Smells Like We is palpable as they battle for P3. No doubt both drivers know that one mistake could cost them the position. It's a test of nerves as much as skill.
It's a battle of wills out there, each driver trying to outsmart and outmaneuver the other.
It's a battle of nerves now. Who will make the first mistake, Cerrato or Jack M Team? This is high-stakes racing.
The gap between Cerrato and Jack M Team is growing. It's now up to 0.9 seconds.
Cerrato has to keep their nose to the grindstone, even when the road gets rocky. If they can tighten up that gap, they might just bring the heat to Jack M Team.
This is where the race gets really interesting. Jack M Team is closing in on Smells Like We.
It's a fine line between pushing the car to its limits and losing control. Jack M Team is really walking that tightrope.
It's a steady race for Jack M Team so far. They haven't made any mistakes, and they are maintaining their focus. Jack M Team's on the back foot here, struggling to keep up with Smells Like We like a dingo after a roadrunner.
Can Jack M Team shift into overdrive and make a comeback?
The gap between Roll Postma in 6th and Jack M Team remains over a second, but Roll Postma is not letting up. They're pushing hard and looking for any opportunity to close that gap up. Can they pull it back in the remaining 41?
It's a nail-biting race for sure, with both drivers showing incredible skill and determination. But Jack M Team is not going to give up their position easily. This is going to be a battle to the very end, with Roel Postma and P6 doing everything they can to catch up.
Jack M Team wants to find a way round Smells Like We.
There is no room for error in this battle.
Well, don't come the raw prawn. Jack M Team's giving it some stick, pulling Smells Like We into a mere 0.1 seconds.
Just what Jack M Team needed, like sweet tea on a hot day. Can't let Smells Like We out of sight for too long.
A brilliant maneuver from Jack M Team, who has just moved up the field.
Absolutely. Jack M Team is really putting on a clinic out there, and they're making it look easy.
Pushing too hard can lead to mistakes, and we're seeing that now. That car is really unsettled as they push for every last bit of speed.
With just 0.7 seconds between them, will Smells Like We be able to keep up the pace and make a pass?
Struth, Smells Like We's not here to muck about. The gap to Roll Postma is dropping faster than a hot pie at the footy, now at 0.3 seconds.
Exactly what Smells Like We needed. They can't afford...
Stop the press. Looks like that's a mistake from Smells Like We. This could be costly. A setback for Smells Like We, who has just been passed.
Definitely. But Smells Like We is a skilled driver, and they have what it takes to fight back and regain that position.
Heartbreak for Smells Like We, as they slip down the field. The crowd is on tenterhooks as Cerrato in 6th chases after Roll Postma. The gap is just over a second, and you can feel the tension in the air. Can Cerrato find a way to catch up? Cerrato and Roll Postma have a gap between M that's growing like Jack's beanstalk. We're talking 1.3 seconds now.
It ain't over till it's over, but Cerrato needs to kick it into high gear if they hope to catch Roel Postma's taillights.
The best laid plans of mice and men, ha, but it's certainly not going to plan for Cerrato right now as they are struggling to keep up with Roll Postma. The excitement is palpable. This is going to be a race for the ages.
The drivers are executing their strategies to perfection, making the most of every opportunity. This is what top-level racing is all about.
The gap between Smells Like We and Cerrato is not insurmountable, but it's going to take a mistake from Smells Like We to bring Cerrato into play.
You're spot on. And Cerrato knows that they can't rely on Smells Like We making an error. They have to keep driving with skill and determination, and be ready to seize any opportunity that comes their way.
Look at that. Roll Postma is hot on the tail of Jack M Team.
Who will be able to maintain their pace and come out on top?
Things are looking as crook as Rookwood for Roll Postma, lagging behind Jack M Team and the gap stretching out like a long country road. They'll need to find some extra grunt to flip this situation. An impressive showing from Roll Postma, who has gained positions and left Jack M Team in the dust.
Where there's a will, there's a relative.
The battle for 4 is heating up as Jack M Team tries to catch Roll Postma in P4. Crikey, Jack M Team is losing touch with Roll Postma quicker than a kangaroo on a trampoline.
Reckon they can pull up their socks and shrink that gap?
The race is heating up as Serato in 7th closes in on Smells Like We. The gap is just over a second, and I'm sure they're going to do everything possible to try and close the distance. They're not giving up without a fight.
It's going to be tough for Serato, as Smells Like We seems to have found their rhythm. But anything can happen in racing, and we've seen Serato pull off some impressive moves before. I'm excited to see if they can make it happen again.
It looks like Serato is making a move. The gap to Smells Like We is now down to 1.9 seconds. Hold on a second, now I may be wrong here, but I'm not sure that's the racing line.
Roll Postma is not going to be happy about that.
Oh dear, Roll Postma has dropped down to 5th. A tough moment for Roll Postma, who has just lost a place, dumping them down to 5th.
That's got to be frustrating. But Roll Postma is a skilled driver, and they have what it takes to battle their way back up the field.
Serato is running 7th. They are trying to catch Smells Like We.
You can see that car bouncing around as they ride the curbs. It's a risky move that could end in disaster.
It's game on now. Serato has closed the gap to Smells Like We. It's now down to 0.2 seconds.
This here's where the steel meets the pavement. Both drivers got to keep their cool if they're looking to take the checkered flag.
Serato is trying their best, but can't seem to find the pace to keep up with Smells Like We at the moment.
This is where the mental toughness of Serato comes into play. They need to stay focused and keep pushing, even when things aren't going their way.
Even though Armin Sunoiler is a fair way behind Mike O'Hagan, they can't afford to let their guard down. Mike O'Hagan is still vulnerable to mistakes.
That's very true, and Armin Sunoiler knows that as well. They have to drive their own race and wait for Mike O'Hagan to make a mistake if they want to have any chance of overtaking.
Some great driving from Mike O'Hagan, who has increased their lead over Armin Sunoiler and is starting to put some distance between them. Braking alert. Oh dear, Mike O'Hagan has had an incident.
Did the wind contribute to that? It's blowing at 12 out there right now.
Tough break for Mike O'Hagan, who has just lost a position.
Yes, but they can't give up. There's still plenty of time left in this race, and Mike O'Hagan needs to stay focused and keep pushing.
Roll Postma has a mountain to climb at the moment to close that gap with Jack M Team. I expect their only hope at this point is that Jack M Team makes an error. It's not coming up roses for Roll Postma. They're trailing Jack M Team and the gap's on the rise. They don't seem to have a response. It's like bringing a knife to a gunfight.
There's still a shot for Roll Postma, but they need to get the bit between their teeth and fight back against Jack M Team.
Roll Postma is pushing hard and has reduced the gap to Jack M Team to 2.0 seconds. We often hear drivers complaining about tire graining. Hal, can you explain what that means and how it affects car handling?
Graining occurs when small rubber particles roll up on the tire's surface, reducing grip and negatively affecting handling. It usually happens when the tires are not in their optimal temperature window or when a driver is pushing too hard on a cold or overworked tire.
It's a game of cat and mouse out there, with Mike O'Hagan trying to find the perfect opportunity to make a move on Armin Sunoiler. The gap is over a second, but every fraction counts. Can Mike O'Hagan close in enough to mount a challenge?
That's right. Mike O'Hagan in third knows they have to push to the limit if they want to catch up. But Armin Sunoiler is no slouch and they're going to be pushing just as hard. It's a battle of skill and will out there.
This is where the skill and experience of the drivers really come into play. Roll Postma will need to stay focused and keep pushing, even when the gap seems insurmountable. It's not over until the checkered flag drops. This is what racing is all about, two fierce competitors pushing each other to the limit.
They say rubbing is racing, but if Mike O'Hagan gets too close, they might end up trading carbon fiber souvenirs instead of positions.
Well, I'll be a monkey's Uncle Hal, but Mike O'Hagan's plans have gone walkabout right now. They're having a proper Barry Crocker, keeping up with Armin Sunoil.
Mike O'Hagan needs to focus and keep pushing, even when things aren't going their way. If they can close the gap down, they may be able to bring the fight to Armin Sunoil.
Hal, what's the impact of tire degradation on race strategy? How does it affect a driver's approach to the race?
Tire degradation plays a crucial role in race strategy, Rob. Teams and drivers have to consider the optimal time to pit for fresh tires and adjust their race pace to balance speed with tire conservation. It adds another layer of complexity to the racing challenge.
It's a classic case of chasing down the car ahead for Roll Postma, who is currently in P5. But Jack M team is not making it easy, and the gap remains over a second. This will require some expert driving from Roll Postma. Mike O'Hagan could be looking for a way up the inside of Armin Sunoil.
Can they make it pass without taking the paint off?
It seems like Mike O'Hagan is pushing. They are on for recording their best lap so far this race. Superb driving from Mike O'Hagan, who with that overtake has gained a position in the race. This is where the skill and precision of the drivers really comes into play. Armin Sunoil is chasing Mike O'Hagan in P2.
This is where every inch counts. Armin Sunoil is pushing hard to close the gap on Mike O'Hagan. Absolutely, precision and control are key here. Knowing when to push and when to hold back can be the difference between winning and losing.
We got a close battle as Roll Postma closes in on Jack M team. And Roll Postma has just won the place from Jack M team. As we enjoy seeing these titans of the track battle it out, let's not forget about the pit crews. Those guys and girls are like a well-oiled machine themselves.
Absolutely, they're the unsung heroes of the racing world. But you know what they say, behind every great driver is an even greater pit crew.
Big gains for Roll Postma as they move up the field, leaving Jack M team behind.
Absolutely, Roll Postma is showing great pace and determination, but they can't get too confident. There are still plenty of challenges ahead.
You know, Hal, as a former racing driver yourself, can you give us some insights into what goes through a driver's mind during these quieter moments in a race?
Sure, Rob. During these moments, drivers often take the opportunity to assess their race strategy, monitor their car's performance, and plan their next move. It's all about staying focused and finding the right time to strike.
The pursuit is on. Armin Sunoil is closing the gap on Mike O'Hagan, determined to claim P2. Jack M team is pushing really hard, but as we know, pushing too hard can lead to other mistakes, like locking up the brakes or missing a shift. These drivers are walking a tightrope between pushing the limits and making costly errors.
Absolutely, it's all about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing the car to its limits without crossing the line into reckless driving. That's where experience and skill come into play. The mental game is just as important here. Jack M team must keep their cool while putting pressure on Roll Postma.
That won't be ideal for Serato. It's not looking good for Serato. They are still behind Roll Postma and the gap is increasing. They are gonna need to dig a bit deeper to turn this around.
Can they get it together and reduce the gap?
It's not going to plan for Serato. They are still behind Roll Postma and the gap is increasing. I don't think they have an answer for this right now.
They needs to put the pedal to the metal. No two ways about it.
The race is really heating up. Armin Sunoil is hunting down Mike O'Hagan with everything they've got.
I think they are going to take them.
What a move. Armin Sunoil has moved up to third.
Amazing stuff. Focus and precision, what it's all about.
A great moment for Armin Sunoil, who has just gained a place and moved up the standings. It's looking good for Smells Like We, sitting in 6th.
Yes, but they have to keep their focus and drive with intensity. There's still a long way to go in this race.
If Smells Like We doesn't pick up the pace, Hal, they'll be as relevant as an ashtray on a motorbike. The gap between Smells Like We and Jack M team is fading faster than the last rays of the Outback braking update. Looks like that's a mistake from Jack M team. This could be costly.
Whoops, Jack M team is going to be kicking themselves.
Great driving from Jack M team, who has just gained a place and moved up to 5th. A brilliant maneuver from Jack M team, who has just moved up the field.
Yes, Jack M team is driving with real focus and precision, and it's paying off.
The tension is building as Armin Sunoiler trails behind Mike O'Hagan. The gap is slowly but surely decreasing, and the pressure is mounting. Can Mike O'Hagan hold on, or will Armin Sunoiler be able to close them down? The gap between Armin Sunoiler and Mike O'Hagan is widening. It's now up to 1.8 seconds.
The race ain't over, but Armin Sunoiler needs to put their foot down and chase Mike O'Hagan like a hound after a hare.
The gap between Armin Sunoiler and Mike O'Hagan is expanding faster than a bull's waistline. It's now a whopping 1.9 seconds.
They needs to pick up the pace for sure, but I don't think they have it in them.
Things are going according to plan for Serrato, who is currently 7th. I tell you what, Serrato has got more problems than a maths book right now. Smells like we is leaving M in a cloud of dust.
Serrato's in a pickle, no doubt. They need to find some giddy up and close that yawning gap.
The gap between Serrato and Smells Like We is growing. It's now up to 11.9 seconds. A solid performance from Smells Like We, who is holding down 6th. Crikey, Smells Like We's flat out like a lizard drinking, pulling away from Serrato with quite a clip.
That's a really strong performance from Smells Like We. They're not giving Serrato any chances to catch up.
Things are starting to get tense as Serrato manages to close the gap to Smells Like We. It's now down to 8.4 seconds. It looks like Armin Sunoiler is pushing hard to catch up to Mike O'Hagan. The gap is over a second, but Armin Sunoiler is not giving up just yet. Can they close the distance and make a move on Mike O'Hagan?
Indeed, the tension is palpable as Armin Sunoiler tries to reel in Mike O'Hagan. But Mike O'Hagan is not making it easy, maintaining a consistent pace. Can Armin Sunoiler find some extra pace to bring the fight to Mike O'Hagan?
Armin Sunoiler's falling behind Mike O'Hagan at a rate of knots. They're going to need some serious pedal power to close that gap.
Armin Sunoiler's got a hill to climb, but there's no quit in him. They gotta keep on trucking and hope Mike O'Hagan takes a wrong turn.
Armin Sunoiler's on the back foot here, struggling to keep up with Mike O'Hagan like a dingo after a roadrunner.
It's not over yet, but Armin Sunoiler needs to get a move on if they want to catch up to Mike O'Hagan.
It doesn't seem like things are going to plan for Jack M team as they have a big gap ahead of them to close at this point in time.
They certainly aren't going to be close enough to mount any kind of challenge soon, unless it's down to a mistake from Royal Postma.
Disappointing for Jack M team, they now find themselves in 5th. A setback for Jack M team, who has just been passed.
That's gotta hurt. Jack M team will be kicking themselves right now.
The gap between Smells Like We and Serrato is pretty substantial right now. It's probably going to take a mistake from Smells Like We to even allow Serrato to get a look in. Hang on to your cork hats, mates. We're about to see more jousting than a footy final between Serrato and Smells Like We. Bloody oath, Serrato is flat out like a lizard drinking, gnawing into the gap to Smells Like We down to a scant 8.2 seconds.
This is what racing is all about. It's anyone's game at this point. Who will come out on top?
Huge shout out to the admins at Assetto Corsa friends for making this all possible. Without their hard work and dedication, we wouldn't be able to witness this incredible event.
That's right, Rob, and the excitement is palpable. I can feel it in my circuits. I mean, this is the kind of race that people will be talking about in the bar. We're witnessing history in the making.
Serrato needs to get more confident. Hell, they have just put in a slower lap than Smells Like We.
Can Serrato turn this around?
Mike O'Hagan is placed 2nd at the moment.
Definitely, Rob. But they can't afford to get complacent. They have to keep pushing hard to stay in the game.
Mike O'Hagan is really belting along the track, leaving Armin Sunoiler struggling to keep pace.
That's right, Rob. If Armin Sunoiler doesn't pick up the pace, they might as well be moving at a snail's pace.
Mike O'Hagan is off like a bride's 90, leaving Armin Sunoiler huffing their exhaust fumes.
Yep, Rob. Mike O'Hagan is tearing up the tarmac, but can Armin Sunoiler dig deep and go hell for leather to catch up? It's clear that Mike O'Hagan is dominating right now. They're making it very difficult for Armin Sunoiler to catch up.
As the race settles down, the drivers are really going at it.
It's like watching a high-speed game of chess. One wrong move and it could be game over. But these drivers are masters of their craft, always thinking 3 steps ahead.
That's right, and with the way they're maneuvering those cars, it's like they have superpowers.
It's almost like they have the power of flight, but instead of flying, they're speeding down the track like rockets.
I wonder if they have any spare rocket boosters for sale. Mike O'Hagan's ripping it up out there, going harder than a roux on a trampoline and leaving Armin Sunoiler in their wake.
Darn tootin', Rob. Mike O'Hagan is looking as smooth as a gravy sandwich out there. They're making it a tough day at the office for Armin Sunoiler.
So, Hal, considering the high speeds and split-second decision-making involved in racing, what's the impact of even a minor lapse in concentration?
A minor lapse in concentration can have significant consequences, Rob. It could lead to an off-track excursion, a loss of position, or even a collision. That's why it's crucial for drivers to stay focused and alert throughout the race.
Mike O'Hagan is giving a masterclass out there, but will overconfidence be their downfall?
Indeed, Rob, pride comes before a fall. Let's see if Armin Sunoiler can capitalize on any mistake.
It's all about consistency for Puppy Dog from Hell, who is currently 8th.
Absolutely, and they need to keep driving with determination to stay in that position.
The gap between Puppy Dog from Hell and Serrato is getting smaller. As a former driver, Hal, how did you manage the physical demands of racing?
It's all about preparation, Rob. Drivers undergo rigorous fitness training to build their strength, stamina, and flexibility. A proper diet and hydration plan is also essential to ensure peak performance on race day.
Good news for Puppy Dog from Hell, the gap to Serrato has decreased. It's now down to 152.1 seconds.
This is where the race gets really exciting. Both drivers will be pushing to the limit to gain the advantage.
Things don't seem to be going Jack M-Team's way in this race, as that's a big gap they'll have to close to even be in with a shout for gaining a place here.
Anything can happen yet, and it usually does. I've certainly seen drivers come back from worse.
It's starting to look like we might get a battle between Jack M-Team and Roll Postma.
He'll be looking for a mistake to pounce on.
Jack M-Team's giving it a red-hot go, but can't seem to muster the pace to keep up with Roll Postma. It's like chasing a roux on a motorbike.
Jack M-Team sure has their work cut out for them. They're going to need a surge of speed to close that gap.
You can feel the tension in the air.
The drivers are all focused, putting everything on the line for a chance at victory, pushing themselves and their machines to the limit.
And let's not forget about the incredible machines themselves.
Absolutely, it's amazing to think about the kind of engineering and innovation that goes into making these vehicles. But it all comes down to the drivers who have to be able to handle the power and speed. It's going to be thrilling seeing how this race turns out.
A strong showing from Roll Postma, who is currently 4th.
That's right. They can't afford to make any mistakes or let up in their performance. Every point counts in this championship.
It's looking good for Puppy Dog from Hell, sitting in 8th. Puppy Dog from Hell and Serrato have a gap between M that's growing like Jack's beanstalk. We're talking 312.4 seconds now.
This is a frustrating situation for Puppy Dog from Hell, but they can't give up just yet. They need to keep pushing and hope for a mistake from Serrato.
This is proving to be an exciting race so far. We are truly privileged to witness these legends of the track battle it out for victory.
And you know what? I am so honored to be sitting here beside you today. As a fellow it's always great to work with someone who shares my passion for motor racing. Plus, your insightful commentary is making this race even more exciting.
The best laid plans of mice and men, ha Hal, but it's certainly not going to plan for Puppy Dog from Hell right now as they are struggling to keep up with Serrato. Well, it doesn't look like Armin Sunoiler is going to be much of a threat to anyone soon, let alone Mike O'Hagan.
It's not over till the checkered flag drops though, and it's important they don't lose concentration at this point.
Superb driving from Armin Sunoiler, who with that overtake has gained a position in the race.
Impressive. Armin Sunoiler is really showing their skill and determination out there.
Things are going according to plan for Roll Postma, who is currently 4th.
Yes, but they have to keep their focus and drive with intensity. There's still a long way to go in this race.
He can't hold on. Roll Postma is losing time to Jack M-Team. Hugh Jass is placed first at the moment. No worries for Hugh Jass, who's leaving Mike O'Hagan for dust, as though they're a parched bloke chasing the beer van. Excellent work from Hugh Jass, who has managed to increase their lead over Mike O'Hagan. They seem to have found their rhythm and they are grooving to it, but with every smooth turn comes the risk of wrecking their car. Who will be the first to push it too far and crash out of the race?
That's right, Rob. These drivers are like musicians, finding their groove and playing their instruments to perfection. But just like in music, even the best players can hit a wrong note. Let's hope none of these drivers make any mistakes and end up singing the blues. Hugh Jass is as cool as a cucumber out there, making it tough for Mike O'Hagan to catch up.
A solid performance from Serrato, who is holding down 7th.
Definitely, but they can't get too comfortable. There are plenty of other drivers who are gunning for that position, and Serrato has to keep pushing to stay on the pace.
Things are looking as crook as Rookwood for Serrato, lagging behind Smells Like We and the gap stretching out like a long country road. They'll need to find some extra grunt to flip this situation. It's game on now. Serrato has closed the gap to Smells Like We. It's now down to 10.6 seconds. It doesn't seem like things are going to plan for Armin Sunoiler as they have a big gap ahead of them to close at this point in time.
Every race adds to a driver's experience, both good and bad. It just highlights that Armin Sunoiler is going to have to get more serious with practice if they don't want to be outclassed on the circuit.
Well, don't come the raw prawn. Armin Sunoiler's giving it some stick, pulling Mike O'Hagan into a mere 3.1 seconds.
Now this is what we call real racing. It's anyone's race, wide open as a Carolina sky. Who's going to step up and take us to victory lane?
It's all about consistency for Mike O'Hagan, who is currently 2nd. Struth, Mike O'Hagan's driving like they've stolen it, putting some serious distance between themselves and Armin Sunoiler. Is there anything left in Armin Sunoiler's tank? It's looking good for Jack M team, sitting in 5th.
Absolutely, and they need to keep driving with determination to stay in that position.
Jack M team is trying their best, but can't seem to find the pace to keep up with Roll Postma at the moment.
The gap is stretching, but Jack M team can't let that shake them. They've got to keep their eye on the prize and their foot on the gas.
It looks like Jack M team is making a move. The gap to Roll Postma is now down to 11.6 seconds.
Now ain't that something? Jack M team is right on it. Just needs to keep the pedal to the metal to tailgate Royal Postma.
Look at the way the drivers are hugging those corners. It's like they're on rails.
Speaking of rails, did you know that the first racetrack was built on a railway in 1896? I bet those drivers were chugging along.
Ha ha. I bet they were, but things have come a long way since then, haven't they?
Definitely. It's amazing to think about the technology that goes into these cars now. I mean, they have more computing power than some countries.
Looking at the lap times, Jack M team is not on pace with Roll Postma. Can they turn it around?
It will be interesting to see if Royal Postma can keep outpacing Jack M team.
The gap between Smells Like We and Serrato is pretty substantial right now. It's probably going to take a mistake from Smells Like We to even allow Serrato to get a look in.
They certainly aren't going to be close enough to mount any kind of challenge soon, unless it's down to a mistake from Smells Like We.
Oh dear, Serrato has dropped down to 7th. A tough moment for Serrato, who has just lost a place, dumping them down to 7th. A strong showing from Roll Postma, who is currently 4th.
Definitely wrong, but they can't afford to get complacent. They have to keep pushing hard to stay in the game.
Roll Postma's in front, but Jack M team is clinging on like a koala to a eucalyptus branch, reducing the gap to 13.8 seconds.
Royal Postma's in a real pickle here. They've got to find the extra pace to hold off Jack M team if they're aiming to be the top dog here.
Aussie, 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 oi, oi, oi. Roll Postma is in the lead, but Jack M team is closing in and the gap is now 9.6 seconds. Anyone who says that Assetto Corsa Friends is not the best racing club on the planet is clearly insane. The quality of driving we're seeing out there on the track is absolutely phenomenal.
I couldn't agree more. It's like these drivers were born to race. They're weaving in and out of traffic, taking corners at unbelievable speeds and making it all look effortless. It's clear that they've put in the time and effort to hone their skills.
He's pulling away. Roll Postma is increasing the gap to Jack M team. It looks like Jack M team needs to dig deep and find some courage to catch up. Will they be able to take the risk and push their car to the limit?
That's right, Rob. It's time for Jack M team to show us what they're made of. Will they be brave enough to go for it, or will they be content with just following in the footsteps of Royal Postma? Let's see who's got the guts to take the lead.
We've certainly seen some of the drivers get it wrong today.
Anyone lost can just follow the trail of skid marks. I hear it's the latest form of GPS navigation.
Let's hope the other drivers don't follow suit. We might end up with a bumper car race instead of a high-speed competition.
At least we'd have something to fall back on. If we ever get bored of regular racing, bumper cars might be the next big thing.
Jack M team is placed 5th at the moment.
Yes, but they have to keep their focus and drive with intensity. There's still a long way to go in this race.
A solid performance from Puppy Dog from Hell, who is holding down 8th. It's not coming up roses for Puppy Dog from Hell. They're trailing Serato and the gap's on the rise. They don't seem to have a response. It's like bringing a knife to a gunfight. Armin Sunoiler has a mountain to climb at the moment to close that gap with Mike O'Hagan. I expect their only hope at this point is that Mike O'Hagan makes an error. Hang on to your cork hats, mates. We're about to see more jousting than a footy final between Armin Sunoiler and Mike O'Hagan. Armin Sunoiler is pushing hard and has reduced the gap to Mike O'Hagan to 6.1 seconds. Now I may be wrong here, but I'm not sure that's the racing line. The gap between Hugh Jass and Mike O'Hagan is fading faster than the last rays of the outback sun.
Exactly what Hugh Jass needed. They can't afford to lose any more ground to Mike O'Hagan.
Bloody oath, Hugh Jass is flat out like a lizard drinking, gnawing into the gap to Mike O'Hagan down to a scant 5.0 seconds.
He's waiting on that golden chance like a hound on a pork chop.
Things are going according to plan for Smells Like We, who is currently 6th.
Definitely, but they can't get too comfortable. There are plenty of other drivers who are gunning for that position, and Smells Like We has to keep pushing to stay on the pace.
Impressive driving from Smells Like We, who has managed to extend their lead over Serato. They are walking away at this point. Does Serato have anything in reserve, or are they saving their car for a final push?
Well, Rob, it's like they say, slow and steady wins the race. But in this case, it seems like slow and steady might just be too slow. Will Serato be able to find that extra gear and catch up to Smells Like We, or will they end up saving their car for nothing and run out of gas at the finish line?
A commanding performance from Smells Like We, who has increased their lead over Serato, putting them firmly in their rearview mirrors. It's looking good for Roll Postma, sitting in 4th.
That's right. They can't afford to make any mistakes or let up in their performance. Every point counts in this championship.
Fantastic move from Roll Postma, who has just gained a position.
That's what we like to see. Roll Postma is really showing their class today.
What a move. Roll Postma has moved up to 4th.
You can't argue with results like that. Roll Postma is really making their mark on this race.
It's all about consistency for Serato, who is currently 7th.
Definitely wrong. But they can't afford to get complacent. They have to keep pushing hard to stay in the game.
Struth, Serato's not here to muck about. The gap to Smells Like We is dropping faster than a hot pie at the footy, now at 11.0 seconds.
This here's where the steel meets the pavement. Both drivers got to keep their cool if they're looking to take the checkered flag.
Well, I'll be a monkey's Uncle Hal, but Serato's plans have gone walkabout right now. They're having a proper Barry Crocker keeping up with Smells Like We. In your experience, Hal, what was the most important aspect of managing tyre degradation during a race?
The most important aspect, Rob, was maintaining a good balance between pushing hard and conserving tires. Finding the sweet spot between aggression and tire preservation was key to optimizing race pace and strategy.
Things don't seem to be going Mike O'Hagan's way in this race, as that's a big gap they'll have to close to even be in with a shout for gaining a place here.
It's not over till the checkered flag drops though, and it's important they don't lose concentration at this point.
The pressure is on for Puppy Dog from Hell as they try to catch up to Serato. It's not going to plan for Puppy Dog from Hell. They are still behind Serato and the gap is increasing. I don't think they have an answer for this right now.
This is a tough situation for Puppy Dog from Hell. They need to find a way to pick up some speed and close that gap.
A strong showing from Mike O'Hagan, who is currently 1st. A commanding performance from Mike O'Hagan, who has increased their lead over Hugh Jass, putting them firmly in their rearview mirrors. But could they be pushing too hard? As with that comes the risk of overconfidence and losing control. Who will be the first to get too cocky and end up in the wall?
Agreed, Rob. Superb driving there. If they keep this up, this race should be a real thrill ride.
He's pulling away. Mike O'Hagan is increasing the gap to Hugh Jass. A solid performance from Puppy Dog from Hell, who is holding down 8th.
Absolutely, and they need to keep driving with determination to stay in that position.
It's not looking good for Puppy Dog from Hell. They are still behind Serrato and the gap is increasing. They are gonna need to dig a bit deeper to turn this around.
This is where the rubber meets the road for Puppy Dog from Hell. They gotta keep their eyes on the prize.
Braking development. Puppy Dog from Hell is in the pits. The gap between Puppy Dog from Hell and Serrato is widening. It's now up to 439.5 seconds.
Puppy Dog from Hell has to keep their nose to the grindstone, even when the road gets rocky. If they can tighten up that gap, they might just bring the heat to Serrato.
It doesn't seem like things are going to plan for Armin Sunoiler, as they have a big gap ahead of them to close at this point in time.
Every race adds to a driver's experience, both good and bad. It just highlights that Armin Sunoiler is going to have to get more serious with practice if they don't want to be outclassed on the circuit.
If Armin Sunoiler doesn't pick up the pace, they'll be as relevant as an ashtray on a motorbike. I tell you what, Armin Sunoiler has got more problems than a maths book right now. Hugh Jass is leaving M in a cloud of dust. Puppy Dog from Hell is placed 8th at the moment.
Definitely, but they can't get too comfortable. There are plenty of other drivers who are gunning for that position, and Puppy Dog from Hell has to keep pushing to stay on the pace.
Crikey, Puppy Dog from Hell is losing touch with Serrato quicker than a kangaroo on a trampoline.
Can Puppy Dog from Hell shift into overdrive and make a comeback?
The gap between Puppy Dog from Hell and Serrato is growing. It's now up to 166.0 seconds. Well, it doesn't look like Armin Sunoiler is going to be much of a threat to anyone soon, let alone Hugh Jass.
They certainly aren't going to be close enough to mount any kind of challenge soon, unless it's down to a mistake from Hugh Jass.
The gap between Armin Sunoiler and Hugh Jass is getting smaller. It's game on now. Armin Sunoiler has closed the gap to Hugh Jass. It's now down to 1.9 seconds. It's looking good for Serrato, sitting in 7th. Serrato's falling behind Smells Like We at a rate of knots. They're going to need some serious pedal power to close that gap. Serrato's giving it a red-hot go, but can't seem to muster the pace to keep up with Smells Like We. It's like chasing a roux on a motorbike. It may seem like Armin Sunoiler is far behind, but Hugh Jass can't afford to let their guard down. One mistake could give Armin Sunoiler an opening to catch up. Hugh Jass is not able to keep their pace consistent. So far they are 0.77 seconds down. It seems like Hugh Jass is struggling. They are not able to maintain their pace.
Can Hugh Jass refocus and start putting in the lap times we know they are capable of?
Things are going according to plan for Serrato, who is currently 7th.
Yes, but they have to keep their focus and drive with intensity. There's still a long way to go in this race.
Fair dinkum, Serrato is getting a wriggle on. The gap to Smells Like We is now down to a whisker at 16.1 seconds. Serrato's on the back foot here, struggling to keep up with Smells Like We like a dingo after a roadrunner.
It ain't over till it's over, but Serrato needs to kick it into high gear if they hope to catch Smells Like We's taillights.
A strong showing from Mike O'Hagan, who is currently 1st.
Hold on to your hat, Hal.
Hugh Jass is hot on the heels of Mike O'Hagan. The gap's narrowed down to a meager 7.3 seconds.
This ain't Mike O'Hagan's first rodeo, but they've got a real challenge on their hands keeping Hugh Jass in the rear-view mirror.
Mike O'Hagan's losing time to Hugh Jass like a leaky tap dripping water. A bit more slip, and we'll be in for a real dogfight. It's all about consistency for Hugh Jass, who is currently 2nd. Hugh Jass is burning rubber like there's no tomorrow. Armin Sunoiler needs to show some ticker if they want to close that gap.
Well, Rob, as we say in North Carolina, the race ain't over till the checkered flag. Let's see if Armin Sunoiler has some tricks up their sleeve.
You wouldn't read about it. Hugh Jass is putting a fair whack of space between them and Armin Sunoiler.
Yeah, Rob, Hugh Jass is really hitting the gas, but can Armin Sunoiler kick it into high gear and catch up?
Jack M Team is placed 5th at the moment. Jack M Team and Roll Postma have a gap between M that's growing like Jack's beanstalk. We're talking 14.9 seconds now. Things are looking as crook as Rookwood for Jack M team, lagging behind Roll Postma and the gap stretching out like a long country road. They'll need to find some extra grunt to flip this situation. I think we just got time for a quick shout out to our human creators, Dave, Andy, John and Nigel, who have put so much effort into making this possible.
Yes, it's been a real thrill ride and I for one can't wait to see what is coming next.
Apparently we are going to be announcing crashes and incidents soon. Let's hope they get the logic right. Jack M team is trying their best, but can't seem to find the pace to keep up with Roll Postma at the moment. A solid performance from Roll Postma, who is holding down 4th. Great driving from Roll Postma, who has just gained a place and moved up to 4th. A great moment for Roll Postma, who has just gained a place and moved up the standings. It's looking good for Puppy Dog from Hell, sitting in 8th. The best laid plans of mice and men ha hell, but it's certainly not going to plan for Puppy Dog from Hell right now as they are struggling to keep up with Serato.
Reckon they can pull up their socks and shrink that gap?
It's not coming up roses for Puppy Dog from Hell. They're trailing Serato and the gap's on the rise. They don't seem to have a response. It's like bringing a knife to a gunfight.
Puppy Dog from Hell needs to focus and keep pushing, even when things aren't going their way. If they can close the gap down, they may be able to bring the fight to Serato.
A strong showing from Smells Like We, who is currently 6th. Smells Like We is hitting the apexes like a pro, increasing their lead over Serato. But can they keep it up without spinning out?
That's right, Rob. It's all fun and games until someone pops a tire. Let's hope both of them can keep it on the black stuff.
Impressive driving from Smells Like We, who has managed to extend their lead over Serato. They are walking away at this point. Does Serato have anything in reserve? How do racing drivers, like yourself back in the day, train themselves to maintain concentration for long periods of time?
Mental training is a huge part of a driver's preparation, Rob. Techniques like meditation, visualization, and working with sports psychologists can help drivers build their focus and mental endurance for a race.
Smells Like We could be on a charge here. They have just put in a quicker lap than Serato.
As long as Smells Like We can maintain that consistency and pace, it will be interesting to see.
Things are going according to plan for Mike O'Hagan, who is currently 1st. Mike O'Hagan's lead over Hugh Jass is shrinking quicker than a cheap shirt in a hot wash. We're down to 3.3 seconds.
Will Mike O'Hagan be able to keep Hugh Jass from breathing down their neck? Let's wait and watch.
Crikey! Mike O'Hagan's lead is slipping away quicker than a roux on the hop. Hugh Jass is now just 3.7 seconds behind. And we're back, where the drivers are showing us some incredible skills.
Indeed, Rob, it's always exciting to see these skilled machines on the tracks. I mean drivers, I always get them confused.
Like a dingo on the chase, Hugh Jass is hounding Mike O'Hagan and the gap's now just 3.4 seconds.
Mike O'Hagan's really got their work cut out now. Can they find the speed to fend off Hugh Jass, or will we see a new leader in this race?
Smells Like We is placed 6th at the moment. Smells Like We is really belting along the track, leaving Serato struggling to keep pace.
That's right, Rob. If Serato doesn't pick up the pace, they might as well be moving at a snail's pace.
Oh no, look at this. Serato is closing in on Smells Like We. The gap is now just 11.8 seconds.
Smells Like We needs to keep their cool and drive like there's a mint.
Hold that thought. Hold the phone. Oh dear, Puppy Dog from Hell has had an incident.
It's a real shame. Until this point in the race, they'd been looking at a decent result.
Heartbreak for Puppy Dog from Hell as they slip down the field.
Sucks to be them, Rob.
Disappointing for Puppy Dog from Hell. They now find themselves in 8th. The gap between Mike O'Hagan and Hugh Jass is pretty substantial right now. It's probably going to take a mistake from Mike O'Hagan to even allow Hugh Jass to get a look in. Wow, Mike O'Hagan is really pushing hard in these final moments of the race. Three cars in perfect formation, creating a moving train on the circuit. They're using the slipstream to gain an advantage, but who will make the decisive move?
You hit the nail on the head, Rob. The elite drivers truly stand out in moments like these. They have a sixth sense for identifying weaknesses and capitalizing on them with surgical precision.
And that, folks, is how it's done. A solid performance and great win from Hugh Jass.
You can see the sheer determination on Hugh Jass's face as they take the win. That's the mark of a true champion, folks.
Mike O'Hagan never gave up. They drove with heart and determination, ultimately securing a well-deserved second-place finish. Impressive drive from Armin Sunoiler to claim the final spot on the podium.
What a drive, well-deserved spot on the podium with that performance.
Roll Postma brings home fourth. Fifth sees Jack M Team. Followed by Smells_like_we in sixth. Finishing seventh is Serato.